It's about 7 minutes to 8, and I've been up all morning since about 5, I believe. Kind of wondering, struggling, walking back and forth, pacing whether or not I should even record this video or post it. The noise you hear in the background is the dog. My wife said to me once, I told her here recently, maybe 2 months ago or so, I said to her, sometimes I feel like a failure. And she said something to me that I already know, but never really gave any thought to it. You ever had one of those moments where, wow, I never really thought about it like that? She said to me, you don't really determine success or failure till the end of a thing. And it's like, well, duh, right? But then thinking more on it, it was not duh, it was more wow, um, feeling like a failure. Um, it's not really something that we can determine while we're still living, really. And so, it just kind of got me to thinking we're at the end of the year. And, I always try to evaluate, whether or not tomorrow's the 1st of November. So I'm always trying to evaluate whether or not I've been successful. And so, of course, I'm thinking about, what my wife said. And then I'm thinking about, what is success, right? What's the definition of success? As a pastor, I'm always teaching Bible study and preaching and stuff. And so the best example, or one of my favorite examples of success, is actually achieving the thing you were put here to achieve. And the example I always give is, the example of a sort of traditional coffee maker, the drip coffee maker with the glass pot. As a former military member, you sort of get creative when you are deployed with doing different things. And so you can make a pretty good soup with a coffee maker. But if the coffee maker doesn't make coffee, then the coffee maker is a failure, right? Because the whole purpose was to make coffee. And so then if it doesn't make coffee, regardless of how much soup it makes and how good it makes the soup, it's an absolute failure. When it comes to individuals and people, we oftentimes associate a success with amassing a certain amount of fame, or notoriety, or money. But the truth is, if you have not achieved and or accomplished the thing you were set here to do, to achieve, your actual purpose, then you're an abject failure. I don't care if you are Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. If Elon Musk was set here to do something other than create Tesla and own X and SpaceX or whatever, and all the other things that he does, I don't know that. Only he knows what God created him to do, the purpose that God put him here. But if the things that he's accomplished or achieved aren't the things that he was intended to, or his purpose, then he's an abject failure. And so, of course, I was thinking about this year and what this year means in terms of success and or failure. And so, there have been some successes and there's been some failures. There were some things I set out to do earlier in the year that I did not achieve or accomplish. There's still time to get those things done. I'm doubtful whether or not I'll get them done with the time remaining. But I've also just been thinking about, what it's going to cost, what is required in order to achieve the thing that God put me here to do. I know for a fact that my purpose in this world is to help people. Hence, I'm a preacher, right? But more than just preaching, I, I I find myself going out of my way trying to encourage and motivate others to be their best self, right? To discover their purpose and uh, and reach for that, right? To move toward that, to develop that, to become the person they're supposed to be. And so uh, it got me to thinking about this particular passage of scripture, Luke chapter 13, verse 6. It's a parable that Jesus shares. And he says this, I'm going to read it from the New King James. It says, he also spake this parable. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came seeking fruit on it and found none. Then he said to the keeper of the vineyard, look, for the 3 years I have come seeking fruit on this fig tree and found none. Cut it down. Why does it use up the ground? But he answered and said to him, Sir, let it alone this year also, until I dig around it and fertilize it. And if it bears fruit, well. But if not, after that, you can cut it down. And so that's what I was just thinking about. The things that I've been doing this year, have they been beneficial? Or have I been like the fig tree, just taking up space? Right? The whole point of the fig tree is to produce figs. And so the owner of the vineyard said, for 3 years I've gone to this fig tree, and there's been no figs. So cut it down. Right? The keeper of the vineyard said, hey, let's not be hasty. And of course, that's obviously me paraphrasing. Let's give it another chance. Let's give it another go. Let's fertilize it, and let's see what happens. Let's put in the effort and see what happens. And if we put in the effort and it doesn't produce, well, then cut it down. And so I was encouraged by that when I was thinking about my own life and purpose and the things that I want to achieve, which is helping people, and my desire is to help people on a large scale, right? Not just 1 or 2 people here or there, or 10 or 15 people, right? My desire is really to help people discover their God-given purpose and help them achieve that. While doing that, obviously I'm living out my purpose. And so I just want to encourage everyone to put forth the effort. Put forth the effort and see what happens. Many of us settle on what's comfortable. We settle on what's easy, and in doing so, we oftentimes fail to actually achieve our purpose. We end up doing what's comfortable, what's easy. But I say, like the vineyard keeper, let's dig around it and fertilize it. Let's actually put forth the effort to produce the thing that we were put here to produce, and see what happens. See what happens. Take a leap of faith. Walk out on faith. And so, as this year is coming to a close, I'm again just kind of assessing the things that I've done. One, has the efforts been worth it? Have the efforts been appropriate? Right? It's one thing to do something or to be doing things, but it's something totally different to be doing the thing that actually works, that actually matters, which is your purpose, right? Back to the coffee pot. If the coffee pot's not making coffee and it's making gourmet soup, it's an abject failure. Coupled with, the advice my wife gave me, with the sometimes feeling like a failure. We don't know whether or not we've succeeded or failed until the end, right? That's the only time you can judge success or failure. I'm a huge sports guy, and so it's sort of the sports analogy is the game isn't over until it's all zeros, right? I believe there was just recently a Hail Mary play in the NFL, where one team, I don't even know which team, my wife was telling me about it. I haven't watched football in this past weekend, so I don't know which team it was, but she was telling me that it's all over social media, kind of a Hail Mary pass, and the team won. So right, it's not over until it's over. And so regardless of who you are, where you are, um, the whole idea of feeling like a failure is while it's a real thing, right, and can be paralyzing sometimes, just know that as long as there's breath in your body, it's not over. And so we won't know whether or not we have been a success or failure until it's all over. And so I just wanted to encourage you that you would put forth the effort, as we're closing out this year and preparing for next year. Put forth the effort. See what happens. Do the thing that you were put here to do. Start working toward that, and see what happens. And as the vineyard dresser said, if we do the fertilizing and we do everything that we can to help this tree grow and produce figs, and it produces figs, then great. If it doesn't produce figs, then guess what? We know that that thing shouldn't be there. Right? If you're putting forth effort and it's not producing the fruit that it's supposed to produce, then you have to evaluate, is this your purpose? Is this what you're supposed to be doing? And so I just wanted to share that moment of transparency. Like I said, I've been up since early this morning. I didn't know how long this video was going to be. If you've made it to this point in the video, good, congratulations, good for you, good on you. Yeah, so that's it. And as I always say, never forget that when your grass is green, there's no need to look on the other side. God bless.